What is up, everybody, and welcome back to JohnnyKpicks. And in this video, I'll be going over my full card picks and predictions, along with the bets that I have so far for UFC Vegas 65, Spivak versus Lewis. Now, do me a huge favor before we dive into this card. Please hit the like button for me. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel or if you just haven't yet. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos or live streams that I put out throughout the week. So let's jump right into last night, which was a very good card, very entertaining, and a lot of crazy stuff happened. So let's jump through this real quick. First fight of the night, Carlos Ulberg versus Nikolai. And that was a great performance by Ulberg. He shocked me. His striking is legit. I thought Nick was going to be able to handle those strikes. He did not. And yeah, Carlos has that left hook or left punch that's, just like Alex Pereira. It's a touch of death, if you want to say. So Nikolai didn't really do that great of his fight game plan, if you want to say. He did pretty much everything wrong that he needed to do. So, but not taking away anything from Ulberg. Very good win. And now I know going forward, because I picked Nick, Ulberg's pretty good. Montel Jackson versus Arce. That was a pretty decent fight. Montel Jackson's pretty well-rounded, and he showed some good clinch up on the cage and showed some good striking. He's long for the division, popped Arce in the third round and pretty much won a unanimous decision, 30-27. So good win for him. Time to step up a little bit, I think, in his competition. Mike Trizano versus Choi, man. First 30 seconds had almost a double knockout, which would have been hilarious, but very entertaining first round. I think after that double knockout, they were like, well, anything goes here, and they just kept swinging, didn't care about striking defense whatsoever, and Mike Trizano was the one that prevailed and was a little bit tougher than Choi, so good win for him. I think he needed it. He might have been cut from the UFC if he did not win that. So very entertaining fight in the first round, but no striking defense at all from either guy. So Carolina and Gomez Juarez, very good fight as well. Very entertaining. Good win for Carolina too. I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought Juarez was going to be able to get that knockout. I did bet the under 2.5. Didn't happen, but had a couple chances here and there. But good win for Carolina. I always say Carolina. Sorry, guys. And yeah, we'll see what happens next with her. Pretty decent fight, though. Matt Frevola versus Ottman. Crazy. I mean, Ottman landed a pretty good shot before Frevola landed his shot and knocked him out. So I don't know if Ottman's a fraud or what. Maybe it was his layoff of 2 years. Maybe he was a little rusty, but Frevola, very good win for him. And yeah, he steamrolled. So got to give him credit. Petrosky versus Sherman. Petrosky looked good again. I'm telling you guys, like, he's making improvements slowly, and it's always good improvements. He might not have the striking yet or the striking cardio, if you want to say, but his grappling is great. His wrestling is great. His takedowns are great. And whenever he's on the mat, even in the third round, it just seems like he's not gassed, but he's huffing and puffing, but he's different. He has a different cardio when he's on the mat. So good win from him. No knockout or no submission. It was going to be hard to submit Turman, but good win from him and pretty decisive win for him. Aaron Blanchfield versus Molly McCann. Wow. Blanchfield is no joke. I already knew she was good, but she's very, very, very good, and she's going to be a problem. She's only 23, guys. 23 years old. Grappling is amazing. She can work on her striking just a touch, but right now, just use that grappling. She's going to dominate a lot of fighters. Ryan Spann versus Dominic 2.0 Reyes. Woof. Good win for Spann. I think Dominic is done. Unfortunately, it's sad. It's very sad to see because he could have arguably won that John Jones fight, could have been a champion, didn't have to fight Yuri. And I think that's when it all started going downhill. And I don't think his chin's there. I think I don't know. It's tough. But good win for Spann. Don't want to take anything away from him. He got the knockout there pretty early in the fight in a minute 20. So it was a very entertaining fight for as long as it lasted. Moicano versus Riddell. I picked Moicano. I bet him as well. He looked like the better fighter. I think Riddell, I don't know. He needs to go back to the drawing board. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to be in the UFC for too much longer either, unfortunately. I just don't think I don't know. I don't want to say I know he's good, but I don't think he's that good. But Moicano is very underrated. I think a lot of people forget how good he is. He's very well-rounded, very good striking, very good grappling. And he's fought a lot of good competition. Go back and look at who he fought, and he's good. Dan Hooker versus Puelles is probably my worst pick of the night. I picked Puelles, by the way. And Hooker looked good. Puelles looked awful. That's about all I can say. Puelles had one chance in the first round to get that leg lock or knee bar, and didn't get it, and that was it. It was pretty bad, pretty boring, and sad performance from him. But good win for Hooker. He needed that, and we'll see what happens with him or both these guys. Another sad fight, unfortunately, Chris Gutierrez versus Frankie Edgar. Man, it's awful to see a legend go out like that, and just the way with that knee, just like in the Sandhagen fight when Frankie fought him. I was just worried about Edgar because I knew he wasn't going to shoot for a takedown or anything like that. He hasn't been doing that in the last 3 or 4 fights. And if he didn't do that, I just didn't think he was going to win. And he didn't do it, and he got caught. And unfortunately, good win for Gutierrez, but it just sucks. Fight of the night, Poirier versus Chandler. Amazing fight, very entertaining. I had Poirier in a bet. I picked him as well. Didn't pick him by submission. I picked him by knockout, or actually decision. I'm sorry, I picked him by decision. And back and forth. Dustin, I thought, won the first round, but that was a back and forth first round, wild, crazy fireworks. And Chandler just out wrestled and out grappled him in the second. And the third round was up for grabs, and Poirier survived. He prevailed. I knew his toughness was going to prevail, and he got the choke. So good win for him, and interested to see what happens with him too. I don't know if he's going to fight Dariush, if he's going to fight Fiziev, is he going to fight Makhachev after Volkanovski? Who knows? But I want to see who he fights, and that's going to be a good fight no matter what. Weili versus Carla Esparza. I pretty much said Zhang was a 95% lock. I did not think she was going to lose unless Carla was able to wrestle her for 5 straight rounds and win by decision, and I knew it wasn't going to happen. Weili made it look easy. I thought she won the first round. Definitely did good in the second and got that rear naked choke as well. So very good win from her. She's a force. I don't know who she's going to fight next to, but it's going to be a good fight, and we know that. And the fight that everybody is gonna about the controversy, early stoppage, Pereira versus Izzy. I will say I picked Pereira. I thought he was gonna get the knockout earlier, like in the third round if he was, and if he wasn't, I thought Izzy was gonna win. And Izzy was winning. I thought Izzy was winning throughout the fight until the 5th round. I thought Pereira was winning the 5th round, and he just ended up getting the knockout. So crazy. And like I said in my predictions video, if there was anyone right now in the middleweight division that was going to beat Izzy, it was Alex Pereira, because this was a kickboxing fight for the majority of it. Izzy used a lot of his grappling and clinch up game when he needed to, and I don't know if that played a part in maybe his cardio in the later rounds, Izzy, because usually he has good cardio, but he got caught with that left hook again, and it was a standing knockout. I personally, at live, I kind of thought it was a quick stoppage, but after looking at it a couple times, I didn't think I think it was going to happen no matter what. I think it was a good stoppage by Mark Goddard. I think a couple more punches, if you would have let it go, I think Pereira would have just flatlined Adesanya, and he might have got a worse knockout, and that could ruin a potential rematch coming up too. So I'm okay with that stoppage. I think Izzy was going to lose no matter what, even if he let Izzy survive a couple more seconds and stuff. But good win for Pereira, and he's a champion. And we'll see if they get an immediate rematch or what. But I'm going to pick Pereira again if they do, until I can see Izzy beat him. Izzy is 0-3 against Pereira right now, and that's going to play a lot of mental games. So we will see. But all right, guys, let's jump into. Oh, before I jump in, sorry, guys. I ended up going 8-6 on my picks, which isn't great. The early prelims were awful for me, and then I started doing better after the early prelims. I went 4-4 on my bets, ended up winning plus 0.17 units profit, so I was barely above, made it out of there alive. So I'm taking this as a win, barely. I didn't lose any money. I gained a little bit. I did have a couple untracked bets. I don't like to, announce them, but I did end up winning more. I did the under 1.5 in the Reyes-Spann fight. I doubled down on Moicano because I had a feeling that he was going to win. And I also bet Pereira because I hit those two, and I'm like, why not? It's untracked. So I just basically won about maybe 3 or 4 units or so with those untracked bets. But I can't put those in there. So like I said, officially I was 0.17 units profit on the night. So I think I'll consider that a win after how I started. It was pretty rough. So let's jump into my picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 65 Lewis versus Spivak. So we'll go to the first one. I will say, though, before we jump in there, Jack Shore and Kyler Phillips fight, man, I really wanted to see that fight. I thought that was going to be such a banger. So, and it looks like Shore got the knee injury, but hey, hopefully they can reschedule that because I think that's going to be a very good fight. So the first fight of the night is Natalia Silva versus Therese Bleda. Silva is 13-5-1, 25 years old, 5'4", with a 65-inch reach. And Bleda is 6-0, 20 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach. So let's see. Silva is very well-rounded. She's got good technical striking. She also has good takedowns and grappling on the mat. She's good off her back. She got solid takedown defense, a good footwork, and quick when she circles the cage. And Bleda she's got pretty decent striking. She's got some power. She's mainly a wrestler, which is good. She's got good takedowns. She has very good top control. She can be reversed at times. So if she does get the takedown, she needs to be a little bit careful. But this is a tough fight for me. I know Bleda was just on the Dana White Contender Series and won about a month ago. So this is a quick turnaround for her. And I don't believe she got a UFC contract that night. So, but she got signed apparently, but I'm gonna go with Silva here. She really impressed me in her last fight against Jasmine, and she stuffed a lot of takedowns. She was very sharp on the feet. She was very quick, and I think she can do more of the same here. I think she can stop a lot of Bleda's takedowns, and if she does get taken down, I think she'll be able to get up or even get a reversal and maybe get on top of her. And I know she is the smaller fighter, which is a little worrisome. Looks like it's 5 inches of height and 6 inches of reach. But if she can keep her range and just maybe circle around the cage and just do 1-2s here and there, and I think she'll be able to win the striking battle on the feet. I think she'll have the advantage. And yeah, so give me Silva here by decision. I think this is a good fight to start the card off. It's going to be very entertaining. I want to see how it goes. Both girls are very good young prospects. Let me get out of here. All right, next fight we got here is Fernie Garcia versus Brady Hiestand. Let's see. Garcia is 10-2, 30 years old, 5'7", with a 67-inch reach, and Hiestand is 5-2, 23 years old, 5'8", with a 71-inch reach. So Garcia has pretty decent striking. He's kind of low volume. He doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. He does have decent wrestling as well, but he's just really low volume. That's the one thing that I keep remembering about him. He doesn't really have a lot of knockout power. He's got decent grappling, like I said, but nothing really amazing. Hiestand also well-rounded. He's more so a striker, but he does have solid wrestling and good takedowns. In his last fight against Turcios, he did take him down a lot and had a lot of control time, so he does have a pretty good top game if he does get the takedown. But he is pretty hittable on the feet, unfortunately. So this is another tough fight to predict. They're both young guys, but I wasn't impressed with either one. I'll say that first. But I'm gonna go with Hiestand I did like his takedowns and wrestling in the Turcios fight, and I think he can do more of the same here. He can replicate that game plan, try to make this a wrestling fight, and I think he'll do okay. If he does make this striking, I mean, it's going to be close, I believe. I might give Garcia the slight edge, but like I said, he's kind of low volume, so I don't know. It's hard to judge this fight one way or another, but I do like Hiestand's wrestling more, and I think he can win the control time and just win minutes here and to a decision win. So with my pick, I'm going to go with Hiestand. Not super confident here, and I'm going to say he wins by decision. Next fight is going to be Maria Oliveira versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Oliveira is 13-5, 25 years old, 5'6", with a 69-inch reach, and Demopoulos is 8-4. I'm sorry, 34 years old, 5'2", with a 62-inch reach. So Maria is going to have the 4-inch height and 7-inch reach advantage. She's got very good striking. She's more so a striker. She throws a ton of volume. She doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. She can be hittable and wild at times. She likes to make fights like a little slugfest or brawls, if you want to say. And she does have good takedowns, but she is the striker first. She can't really control them on the ground if she gets the takedowns. But I don't think she's going to be going for takedowns this fight. It wouldn't be a good idea. And Demopoulos has decent striking, if you want to say. She's got very good grappling and submissions when she's off her back. And she doesn't have the greatest takedowns, are kind of sloppy. And she's going to be the shorter fighter here. And I think that's going to be a disadvantage for sure, trying to get those takedowns, and especially in the striking department. So give me Oliveira here. I think she's going to make this a stand-up fight. She's going to use her range. She's going to stuff the majority of Demopoulos' takedowns. I don't think she might even get one, maybe one, we'll just say. And I think she'll outstrike her to a decision, maybe a late knockout. We've seen Demopoulos get rocked. She doesn't have the greatest striking defense. In the Juarez fight, when she fought, she got rocked and kind of got lucky with that arm bar, let's say. So give me Oliveira here. I think she wins this one. Like I said, maybe a late third round knockout, but I'm going to say she wins by decision. It's going to be a pretty solid fight. I think Oliveira is pretty decent. She just needs to work on her striking defense a little bit, but she doesn't have to worry too much about that in this fight. Next fight, another tough alum here. Ricky Turcios versus Kevin Natividad. Turcios is 11-3, 29 years old, 5'9", with a 72-inch reach. And Kevin is 9-3, 29 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach. So Turcios has okay striking, kind of unorthodox a little bit. He throws a ton of volume, even though he likes to yell when he strikes or doesn't strike. And he also hits a lot of air. He reminds me of the Chikagian of the bantamweight division, if you want to say. Horrible takedown defense. He gets taken down with a gust of wind, but he's got solid grappling. He does very good off his back. He always goes for submissions, and he does get up a lot if he does get taken down. So that's one thing you can hang his hat on there. And Natividad has got solid grappling, decent striking, a little bit chinny. I know he's been KO'd in his last couple losses here, but Turcios isn't really the knockout guy, knockout artist. The only way I can see a knockout from him is if he does like a flying knee or a spinning elbow, something crazy like that. He's also hittable too, and this is another tough fight. Like, these beginning fights of this card are so tough to predict. I'm gonna go with Turcios reluctantly. I hope he doesn't do what he did in his last fight, because he will lose. But if he does what he did in his previous fight, in the Brady Hiestand fight, I think he'll win this fight just by out-voluming and out-striking Kevin. He'll be the more active fighter, and I think that'll win him maybe a split decision again. I don't think either of these guys are very good, I'll be honest. But I'm just going to go with Ricky. He's got the cardio. He's got the volume. He's got a decent get-up game. Let's just see if he's better than his last fight, because that was an awful performance by him, I will admit. But like I said, not too impressed with Natividad either. So this is just a toss-up fight for me. it can go 50-50. I'd stay away from betting this fight 100%. Next fight is Miles Johns versus Vince Morales. Miles Johns is 12-2, 28 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach. And Morales is 11-6, 32 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach. So Johns has good striking. He's got good power early on. He's a very good wrestler when he wants to wrestle. Let's say put that nicely. But he hasn't been using it a lot. Like I don't know if he's falling in love with his hands or what. He knocked out a couple guys. He knocked out Anderson Dos Santos, and he knocked out Kevin Natividad, who's fighting, who we just went over. So after those two knockouts, he really hasn't been going for takedowns, which is kind of weird because he's a really good wrestler. He slows down as the fight goes on with his cardio, and he is taking this fight on short notice. So that's something to remember. I think it's about 2 weeks short notice. It's not super short notice, but he hasn't had a full fight camp. Morales has solid striking with solid power. He's not too much of a wrestler, but he can wrestle. He likes to push forward, and his takedown defense is not that great. And also, he slows down as the fight goes on. But I would say John slows down a little bit quicker than Vince if I had to choose. So there's a lot of red flags here for both these guys. And I'm going to trust one more time in Johns. I think he is the better fighter overall. I think he has a clear path to victory, and that is to use his wrestling. If he doesn't use his wrestling, this is going to be a very close fight on the feet, and I think someone will get knocked out eventually because both these guys tire out, maybe in the late second or third round. But like I said, if Johns uses his wrestling, I think he'll be able to win rounds 1 and probably 2, and then round 3 will be up for grabs, and we will see what happens. But I'm going to roll Johns one more time, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to say it goes to decision. I think they both survive, but wouldn't be surprised if like Johns gets an early knockout or if Morales gets an early knockout. We'll see what happens. This is another close fight, hard to predict, but I'm going with Johns one more time. And then after that, no more. Next fight, Jennifer Maia versus Marina Moroz. Come on. One more time. Maia is 19-9-1, 34 years old, 5'4", with a 64-inch reach. And Moroz is 11-3, 31 years old, 5'7", with a 67-inch reach. So Maia is a solid striker. She's got some power. She's got good grappling, good clinch game. She has okay wrestling. She likes to stay on the feet, but she can go for takedowns here and there. She can be a little low volume at times, but she's very tough. She's very strong as well, especially in the clinch, like I said. Moroz is a solid, quick striker. She's got pretty decent technical striking, good grappling, and good submissions. She doesn't have the greatest takedowns, unfortunately, for her, but if this fight does go to the mat, she's very slick on the mat. I know a lot of people are going to go with Moroz in her last fight when she fought Agapova. She looked like she was a crazy lady, and she got that submission. I know they had some beef, but I think some people are forgetting that Maia has fought very good competition. She fought for Manon Fiorot. She fought Caitlin Chukagian. She fought Jessica Ai, which she won, and she should have. She fought Valentina, and she looked pretty decent in that fight. And she won against Joanne Wood. And then, so she's fought very good competition. That's her losses. So you can't really fault her for those losses. But I'm going to go with Maia here. I think she's going to be able to land the more impactful shots. I don't think that Moroz will be able to get this fight to the mat. And if so, if they clinch up, I think Maia will be able to keep her up against the cage, maybe land a takedown of her own, get on top, get some minutes that way. And yeah, I think she'll be able to outmuscle Moroz if it gets close or they get clinched up. And I think she'll be able to land the more impactful, powerful shots. So give me the underdog here in Maia. I think it will go to decision. Would I be surprised if Moroz wins? No, but I'm just going to go with Maia and her experience. And like I said, she's fought the better competition. So give me Jennifer Maia here. Why not? Next fight we got is I'm going to butcher this name, Zhumagulov. Well, that's close enough. Versus Charles Johnson. Zhumagulov is 14-7, 34 years old, 5'4", with a 66-inch reach. Charles Johnson is 11-3, 31 years old, 5'9", with a 70-inch reach. So Zhumagulov has good striking with some power. He's got good wrestling. He likes to push forward. He likes to pretty much spam takedowns up against the cage when he puts his opponents up against the cage. He's got a pretty good gas tank. He does slow down a little bit, but he keeps going forward. He likes to push forward. He's a little bit chinny, though, and that's mainly he's been knocked out by – who did he get knocked out by? JohnnyKpicks. Let's see if there was any other ones. He got rocked a couple times in the Maddalena fight. I think that's what I'm thinking about, but that was a very close fight. Honestly, I don't even know if Maddalena won that fight, but it was very close. It wasn't a robbery or anything. Charles Johnson, he's a very well-rounded fighter as well. He's got good striking. He's got a good ground game. Solid takedown defense, even though I know the stats may say otherwise, but he did fight Makhachev in his UFC debut, and I think he stuffed a lot of takedowns, but he did get taken down a lot as well. He kept getting back up, which I like to see. And he didn't let Makhachev pretty much let him have his way with him. He kept fighting and defending and getting up, and we couldn't really see his striking in that fight, but he does have good striking in his LFA fights and stuff like that. But yeah, he's going to be the bigger fighter here. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage, and I think that's going to play a big part in this fight. I don't think Zhumagulov is going to be able to spam those takedowns like Makhachev did, and I think Johnson will be able to stuff the majority of them. So give me Charles Johnson to win this one. I'm fairly confident he wins this one. I think this is a good fight for him. I think he'll be able to touch Zhumagulov's chin and get that knockout, maybe in the second round sometime. I know the first round might be a little hectic depending on the pace that Zhumagulov wants to do, but I think Charles Johnson gets it done in the second round by knockout. It's going to be a pretty good fight, actually. I like this one. All right. Main card. Jack Della Maddalena versus Danny Roberts. Jack is 12-2, 26 years old, 5'11", with a 73-inch reach. And Roberts is 18-6, 35 years old, 6'1", with a 74-inch reach. So Jack has very good striking. He has huge power, good straight punches right down the middle, good jab, solid defensive grappling. He's shown in his last fight against Emev. I can't say that name. Emev. I can't even say his name. Sorry, guys. He showed very good defensive grappling there, and I was a little bit worried that fight that he might. We never seen his grappling in the UFC, but it's Emev. Man, I can't say it. Now I got it. My head worked now. Emev. So yeah, I think this guy's great. So Roberts has solid striking. He does have some power. He doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. He can be very hittable. He can be rocked fairly easily, and he fades as the fight goes on. I love Jack Della Maddalena in this fight. I do think he gets that knockout in the first round, if not second round. I just don't see a path to victory for Roberts here unless he just outstrikes Jack for all 3 rounds and wins a very close, controversial split decision, because I think Jack is going to win this one fairly easily, whether it goes to decision or not. But I'm going to say he gets that knockout in the first round fairly easily. And yeah, another win for Jack. I think he's really good. I think he's a good prospect coming up. Only 26 years old. Next fight is Cody Brundage versus Rodolfo Vieira. Brundage is 8-2, 28 years old, 6 foot with a 72-inch reach. And Vieira is 8-2 as well, 33 years old, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. So Brundage is a solid wrestler with good takedowns. Not the most technical striker, but he does have some power in his hands. He showed in his last fight against Tresean Gore. Takedown defense isn't the greatest. but he does have good cardio. He's more of a grinder. He likes to wear down his opponents and grind it out. Vieira has amazing jiu-jitsu, great wrestling and takedowns. He's improving his striking. He's got good power, though. His cardio may be an issue depending on his pace, but he seems like he's working on that. In his last fight against Chris Curtis, he went all 3 rounds. He spammed like about 20 takedowns, and he looked fairly fresh as the fight finished. So at least better than I thought he was. And honestly, he kind of reminds me of Petrosky. I know Petrosky just fought, but they're kind of the same, similar style of fighter. They're both big guys that have good grappling, good wrestling, improving striking with power. And that would be a pretty fun fight to see, actually, depending on if Vieira wins or not. But anyways, I think that'll be a good fight, maybe later on. But I think Vieira is going to be a little bit better on the feet with that power. I think his ground game with his grappling and wrestling, I think it's a level or 2 above Brundage. So I like Vieira in this fight a lot. The only thing that does worry me, though, is his cardio. If he tries to finish Brundage in that first round and doesn't do it, if he goes all out, it's the same thing with Petrosky. He's got grappling cardio, but his striking cardio I don't think is there, and he better get those takedowns. Otherwise, he's going to gas out as well. But I just don't think Brundage is very dangerous. I know he did knock out Gore. I don't think he's going to be able to knock out Vieira. And I think Vieira will be able to get those takedowns and just out-grapple him for most of the fight. But I wouldn't rule out a submission. Maybe he gets like a club and sub or something like that on the feet early. But I'm going to say Vieira wins this one. I'm going to say by decision. I think Brundage will stay alive. But Brundage doesn't like to get hit, though. That's the thing, too. He covered up a lot in that Dalcha fight. And I thought the ref was going to stop it. And then he got that late guillotine and won a miraculous submission. So give me Vieira. I think he'll win by, I'm going to say decision, kind of like the Petrosky fight. I think it's going to kind of go down like that. So we'll see what happens. I think this will be a fun fight to watch for sure. Next one we got is Muslim Salikhov versus Andre Fialho. Salikhov is, 18-3, 38 years old, 5'11", with a 69.5-inch reach. And Fialho is 16-5, 28 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach. So Salikhov is a really good striker. He's got very good kicks. He does have some wrestling that he could use. He showed a little bit of it in his last fight against Li Jingliang. He ended up losing that fight later in the fight, though, by knockout. He does slow down as the fight goes on, and he can be a little bit chinny. But he's a very solid striker, though, very accomplished as well, if you want to say. And Fialho has really good boxing. He has pretty decent leg kicks, but he doesn't really use them too often. I wish he would develop some leg kicks. I hope he did. He can also be a little bit chinny. And he does like to make fights a brawl, which I don't know if it's the good thing to do here, but both guys' chins are a little chinny nowadays. Salikhov is 38 years old. Man, this is going to be a pretty decent fight. I could tell you one thing, though. I don't think this fight's going to decision. I think someone's going to get knocked out, and I'm going to go with Fialho here. I think he's going to be able to land the knockout shot before Salikhov. Maybe Fialho has to eat a couple shots to get it, but I think he'll eventually get it maybe late first round or early second round. I think the first round is going to be fireworks. I think Fialho is going to push forward and keep Salikhov on his back foot to negate his kicks. And it's just going to be a boxing match from there on. And I think Andre will land that shot. Maybe Andre gets rocked, but I think Salikhov's chin won't be able to hold up. And I think Fialho's will here. So give me Fialho here. I think it'll be a knockout. Like I said, I don't think this fight's going to decision. And I'm rolling the dice. Why not? He's a slight underdog. So, all right, people's main event. We got one. We got a low-level heavyweight fight here in Chase Sherman versus Waldo Cortes Acosta. Sherman is 16-10, 33 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach. And Cortes Acosta is 8-0, 31 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach as well. So Sherman is mainly a boxer. He's not really a KO guy. He needs to pretty much pick apart his opponent before he gets that knockout. He's very hittable. He doesn't move his head whatsoever. He's got zero ground game. He's not going to go for takedowns. But luckily for him, he doesn't have to worry about takedowns this fight, because I do not think Waldo is going to go for takedowns. And Sherman's cardio is pretty decent, actually. And Acosta has got a solid striking as well. He's not really a KO guy either. He's very hittable, as you've seen in his last fight against Jared Bandera, which was going to be a week ago. He does not check kicks whatsoever. So if Sherman developed any sort of leg kick game, he can destroy his leg in this fight. And I'm not sure if his leg even healed from that last fight, Waldo, because he was noticeably in pain throughout that whole fight when Bandera, that's the only thing that Bandera was doing was landing that front leg kick. So it's kind of weird that he's taking this fight on short notice, like right away after that. But I think this fight's going to end up being a stand-up boxing match for however long it lasts. It might go to decision. It might be a late round finish. But give me Sherman here, actually, and I can't believe I'm going to say it. I'm just not 100% sold on Waldo, and I don't know how his leg is going to be, and I don't know if it's going to be able to go all 3 rounds. And if Sherman can just land a couple leg kicks, I think that's going to pay huge dividends in this fight. Even if he just it doesn't have to be good leg kicks, just a couple early on, make him start thinking about that leg again. And I think Sherman will be able to outstrike him and either win a decision or a late knockout. So give me Sherman here. I don't believe I'm saying it, but I think Sherman will win this fight. And I'm gonna say decision. I might have said knockout, but I think it's gonna go to decision. I think there's gonna be a lot of fights that go to decision here. I don't see a lot of knockouts, but this one, meh, potentially. All right, co-main event. We got Cutelaba versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Cutelaba is 16-8-1, 28 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach. And Kennedy is 10-3, 30 years old, 6'5", with an 83-inch reach. So this is going to be a very, very, very fun fight. I'm looking forward to this one. Cutelaba is a madman. He is crazy. He's got good takedowns. He's got good power in his hands. But here's all the buts. He is super hittable. He gasses himself out more times than not. He's got zero sub defense, and he's chinny. So basically, he is a kill or be killed fighter, if you want to say. And Kennedy is a powerful striker. He's kind of slow with his striking, but he keeps his range pretty good. He showed off his wrestling and grappling game in his last fight against, I believe it was Roberson. Yeah, Carl Roberson. And he looked pretty decent. I'll give him that. I don't know if he's going to want to do it in this fight, but he's got some wrestling now. And he's got solid takedown defense. And he's a massive guy for this weight class. So again, I don't see this one going to the judges' scorecards either. I think it's going to be a Cutelaba knockout, or Kennedy will survive like he has before, and eventually Cutelaba will gas and Kennedy will get the knockout. So I'm going to go with Kennedy to weather the storm here in the first round. He might not get the knockout in the first round, but as the fight goes on, I think Kennedy will get that knockout eventually. Maybe in the second round or early third round. I just don't think Cutelaba is going to be able to control his pace like I don't think he's going to be able to. There's just no way. So give me give me Kennedy here. I think he's going with that 4-inch height and 8-inch reach advantage. I think he'll land that knockout in the second round. Very good fight, entertaining, and we'll see what happens. Main event time. Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. Lewis is 26-10, 37 years old, 6'3", with a 79-inch reach. And Spivak is 15-3, 27 years old, 6'3", with a 78-inch reach. So we all know Derek Lewis and what he's good at. He is a very powerful striker. He's very, very low volume, though. But he makes every one of his low volume strikes count. Doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. And depending on the pace of the fight, he can slow down as the fight goes on. A lot of people just keep the fight because they're scared of his power. So this fight, like, his cardio is able to go longer than I think it should. Spivak, though, he's an amazing wrestler with good takedowns. He's got good ground and pound. His striking is okay. It's a work in progress, if you want to say. But he's got a pretty decent jab, and he uses his striking to set up his takedowns. And I like Spivak here a lot. And I think if he uses his wrestling and he pushes forward, and that's key, he needs to keep Derek Lewis on his back foot and move him back. Because if he doesn't, and if Lewis goes forward, Spivak is going to be in trouble, I think. And I also hope that Spivak is not super scared of Lewis's power. I know I would be scared of it, but he can't be scared of his power. He needs to plan or time his takedowns very wisely, if you want to say, because Lewis only needs one punch. And we've seen it before. We've seen it in the Blades fight. He had that one punch and knocked him out. And we've seen it in the Volkov fight. So he was losing that whole fight until the very end, and he got that knockout. I think it was in the 5th round or 3rd round. I can't remember if it was a 5th or 5-round fight or a 3rd round, but it was in the last round. But yeah, I like Spivak. Like I said, I think he'll be able to get down Lewis. He just needs to push forward and time the takedowns, and he'll be able to win this one. I think it'll be a ground and pound knockout eventually, maybe in the 2nd round, maybe in the 1st round. It's more of a feeling out process, but this is going to be a 5-round fight, so I do not think this fight will go to decision one way or another. But give me Spivak here, and I think, like I said, I think he'll win by ground and pound in the 2nd or 3rd round. So for my bets, I only have 2 at the moment. I'm going to wait for the over and unders and the props, because I think the over and unders on this card are going to be like the way to go again, because there's a lot of close, sketchy fights here. It could go either way. But the first bet I have is going to be Spivak money line and Rodolfo Vieira money line. I got that at plus 144, 1 unit bet. I really like both these guys to win. I don't want to say Vieira is a lock, but I'm very confident he wins that fight. And I'm pretty confident that Spivak will. The only thing that scares me with that fight is Lewis's power. Other than that, I think Spivak wins, hands down. And the next fight I have is Kennedy Nzechukwu money line, and I parlayed him with Jack Della Maddalena. I like both these guys as well. I think Kennedy will survive the 1st round, weather the Ian Cutelaba storm, if you want to say, and get the knockout himself. And Jack Della Maddalena will get a knockout. That's all I'm going to say. He will get a knockout. Danny Roberts does not scare me one bit for him, and he's a bit chinny. So give me Jack Della there. And I got that at minus 108 and a 1.25 unit bet as well. So yeah, that is it for this card. Thank you everybody for watching. If you want to check back on my comments section in this video, I will put my bets in there and all the bets that I place throughout the week. It'll also be on my Instagram and Twitter account. I always post my bet slips, so you know I'm not sketchy like that. And yeah, let's hope this is going to be a good card. After this card, we're going to have a little bit of a break for the holiday, Thanksgiving. So let's make this one count. Be sure to check back here on Wednesday night. We're going to do the me and Cody from Blood Money MMA Bets. We're going to do the live stream like we usually do, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Every week we do it. So like I said, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, and until next time, happy fight night.